Please repeat this after me. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Odhitavan Dvaparadau Pitur Dvaipayanadaham.
Предишната шлока Шрила Шукадева Госвами каза, че висшите трансценденталисти, които не са подчинени на правилата и ограниченията, посвещават времето си предимно на слушане за Бога и на възхваляване на Бога. Думите му се потвърждават от личния им пример. Всички велики мъдреци, които са събрали около Махараджа Парикшит, през последните 7 дена от живота единодушно признали Шукадева Госвами за освободена душа, като най-висшия трансценденталист. В потвърждение на думите си Шукадева Госвами дава за пример собствения си живот, казвайки, че самият той бил преминал в трансценденталните дейности на Бога. Изводял Шримад Бхагаватам от великия си баща, Шри Вайпаяна Вясадева. Човек не може да изучава Шримад Бхагаватам или друга подобна литература самостоятелно, като разчита единствено на собствения си интелект и възможности. Книжарниците могат да се намерят много учебници по анатомия и физиология, но никой не може да стане добър лекар, просто като си ги чете вкъщи. Човек трябва да бъде прият в медицински колеж и да изучава тези учебници под ръководството на квалифициран преподаватели. По същия начин, човек може да овладее Шримад Бхагаватам, който дава висше образование в науката за Бога, само ако изучава краката на самопознала се личност в Шримад Вясадева. Въпреки че Шукадева Госвами бил освободен от душа от самото си раждане, той бил длъжен да изучи Шримад Бхагаватам под ръководството на великия си баща Вясадева, който пък съставил това произведение по поръка на една друга велика душа, Шинарда Муни. Веднъж Бхакти Чайтания Махапрабху посъветвал един учен брамана да изучава Шримад Бхагаватам, отлично с което е Бхагавата. Шримад Бхагаватам, изговорен от Шрила Вясадева, инкарнацията на божествената личност, е разказва за трансценденталната енергия, форма, качество, забавление, напрежение и многообразие на върховната личност. Бога извършва забавленията си заедно с чистите си предано дадени, затова в това велико произведение се споменава много исторически събития, които са свързани с Кришна. Шримад Бхагаватам се нарича Брама Самитхам, защото е въплъщение на Бог Кришна в звук, както и Бхагавад-гита. Бхагавад-гита е звукова инкарнация на Бога, защото е изговорена от Върховния Бог. А Шримад Бхагаватам е звуково изображение на Бога, защото е изговорена в инкарнация на Бога и описва дейностите на Бога. Както се казва в началото на тази книга, Шримад Бхагаватам е плодът от ведическото дърво на желанията и естествен коментар към Брама Сутрите, най-висшия философски трактат за Браман. Вясадева се появила в края на Двапара юга, като син на Сати Бати, затова думата Двапара Агал, началото на Двапара юга. В този случай означава в навечерието на Кали юга, който Шрила Джива Госвами, по същата логика, път на дървото може да се нарече негово начало. Дървото започва да говоренето, но човек обикновено вижда най-напред върху му, затова приема края на дървото за негово начало.
Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Aditavan Dvaparadau Pitur Dvapayanadaham.
В края на Двапара юга, бащата Шрила Вайпаяна Вясадева, аз изучих Шримад Бхагаватам, великото произведение, което допълва ведическата литература, което е толкова ценно, колкото всички веди взети заедно.
Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nungayate Grim Yakripatarham Mande Shri Guru Nitagnam. Yesterday we read this statement, Nargunyashta Ramante Sma Gunanu Kotane Hare, that saintly persons who are Nargunyasta, that means they are situated above the influence of the modes of nature. They are transcendental, yet Ramante Cha or Ramante Sma, they are enjoying something. Ramante means to enjoy. So in that transcendental situation, above the modes of nature, they're enjoying.
качествата на материалната природа се наслаждават на нещо. Това положение, в което те се намират, те се наслаждават на нещо. Това се думите романта смисъл.
And what are they enjoying? Gunanu katane hare. They're enjoying the gunas. It almost sounds contradictory. They're nayargunya, they are above the modes of nature, and yet they're enjoying the gunas. But the gunas, the modes that they're enjoying, are not the three material modes. Here it is clearly stated, Gunanu katane hare. They're enjoying the discussion, the kata, the discussion of the qualities, the gunas of Hare, or Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. And in this morning's verse, Srila Shukadev Goswami is giving himself as an example. And this in turn reminds us of the very famous Atmarama verse, which Lord Chaitanya explained on several occasions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Shukadev Goswami is Atmarama. He was Atmarama even within the womb of his mother. Atmarama means what? Yes, self-satisfied in one's own Atman, or one's own self. This is the same, Nargunyashta, to be situated above the modes of nature. So, Shukadev Goswami was Atmarama Muni. Muni means very wise, very enlightened in transcendental knowledge. And the verse says, Atmarama Chamunyo Nirgranto. Nirgranta, granta means book, nir means without. So such a transcendentalist, he is not, he is actually above, and this we read yesterday too in the verse. He is above the rules and regulations of the Shastras. Mm-hmm. So another way to understand this Nirgranta, there is the famous couplet of verses, 2 verses, which are glorifying this Srimad Bhagavatam as a transcendental book, a transcendental literature. So it is stated that those literatures which do not glorify, do not contain, do not transmit the transcendental qualities of Krishna, they are Yatirtha Vayasham. They are compared to places of pilgrimage for crows. Yatirtha Vayasham Manas ukshanti manasa. Those who are enlightened, those who are transcendental to the modes of nature, they have no interest in such literatures. This statement, place of pilgrimage for crows, what does it actually mean? It just means a heap of garbage. You see, a heap of garbage is where all the crows come. So literatures, mundane literatures, which are creations of the modes of nature, are rejected by learned transcendentalists. Nayatra hangsa. The transcendentalists are called hangsa. Hangsa means, what does it mean? Hamsa. Swan, yes. So swan is a completely different species of bird than crow. Nayatra hangsa niramanti usikshaya. The swans never go to where the crows gather. You'll never see a swan coming to a pile of garbage where the crows have flocked. Mm-hmm. So this is how we can understand more fully this term, nirgrantha, without books. The saintly persons, they do not read mundane literature. They're not going to the bookshop and buying some paperback mystery, criminal novel or romance. Because those places are where the crows gather. So, the saintly persons, however, Atmarama Chamuneo, Nirgranto, they're Nirgranta, api urukrame, but still, urukrame, the kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim itambuta gunohari. They're still attracted. Again, itambuta guno. They're still attracted by the gunas, the qualities, itambuta guno hare, of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And thus, kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim. And thus, they engage in devotional service to Krishna. And devotional service begins with what? With hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So therefore, the transcendentalists, they're most fond, although they reject all other books, therefore they're called Nirgrantha. This book, this Grantha, the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are most fond of. Because this book, as Bhagavatam itself explains, Tadvad Vishargo, it is a different kind of literary creation. All the mundane literary creations, even including so many volumes of Vedic literature, which only deal with the modes of nature, as Krishna tells Arjuna, that Triguna Vishaya Veda. The Vedas mainly deal with sense enjoyment in three modes. So, all types of mundane literature, what is the effect of reading them on the living entity, on the human being? The effect is that the modes of nature, modes of material nature, in the heart become agitated. So some literatures, for instance the Vedic literatures, the more materialistic portions of the Vedas, they agitate the material mode of goodness. There are dharma shastras, which are meant to bring one up to the mode of goodness. They contain all sorts of rules and regulations. But because these dharma shastras are actually devoid, they do not glorify the transcendental qualities of the Lord, then although by following them one may come up to the material mode of goodness, he still remains bound by the material energy. His attraction is still for the material world. He wants to, by following rules and regulations, he wants to be promoted to heavenly planet, or even he wants to be liberated in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. From that position, he'll again fall back down. He's thinking of himself as a great brahmana or a great fruitive worker. He's proud of his accomplishments. He may be so pure in the sense of following strictly rules and regulations, but he's proud of his purity. So therefore, because of this pride, which is ignorance, there is no real purity. So in other words, he remains captivated by Maya. And what to speak of those who read literatures which agitate the rajas and tamasic qualities? These people simply engage in sinful activities. They go to hell. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is a different creation. Tadvag visargo. Why? Janataga viplavo. Because this literature creates a revolution in the heart, in which the influence of the modes of nature is completely overturned. People in this world are anxious for revolution. because this Kali Yuga is very distressing. So, from everywhere we hear cries for liberation and freedom, and let us have a change. But because Jana means the population, and Aga means very sinful. These people are all very sinful. So they make what they suppose to be a revolution. But it's like going, as there's this expression, English expression, going out of the frying pan, you know, the frying pan on the stove, going from the frying pan into the fire. This is their revolution. There is perhaps some momentary relief while the change is being made. Just like just a few years ago in all these Eastern European countries, there was a great celebration that communism is finished. But now we see these countries are being run by the mafia. And people are lamenting even more. So, this is because Janataga. Everyone is sinful. Everyone is a thief and a rogue and a rascal. So they may throw out an older generation of thieves and rogues, but they're immediately replaced by a new generation of even worse, because as the generations progress in Kali Yuga, they get worse. The qualities of the human being get worse and worse. Bhagavatam says, Sva vidvaraha hostakrayi samstata parasha pashu nayat karnapato petu jatu nama gadagraja. The Srimad Bhagavatam says this population is animalistic. They're all dogs, hogs, camels, asses. So they may make whatever adjustment they like to make to try to improve things. But the fact remains they're just animals. And as animals, as long as they remain in this animal consciousness, there is no attraction to glorify Krishna. There is attraction to glorify, but because they're animals, what do they glorify? Simply big animals. So even they try to make a change. Because of this attraction, they will remove the old leaders, the old, whoever they are, communists or whatever party, and they will install some more animals. See? So this is not factual revolution. It brings no change at all. It just makes things worse. The real change is Janataga Viplavo, when the agitation of the modes of nature within the heart, which cause us to be sinful animals, this agitation is eradicated once and for all.
Истинската промяна е когато тези думи на материалната природа в сърцето, които са причина за извършването на греховните дейности, когато тяхното влияние се премахне един път за винаги.
And so this is the effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, it is described as Visargo, a completely different literary creation from all others. So, such a wonderful literature that it is relished by those whose hearts are free already of the influence of the modes, and for those whose hearts are polluted by the modes, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, this pollution will be flushed out of the heart. So, there are two aspects to Bhagavatam. The book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata. Just as it is, we've just heard, the Bhagavatam is a literature which creates a revolution in the heart. So the person Bhagavata, he's the revolutionary. Just like, again, referring to communism. So Marx, he wrote all those scriptures which nobody could understand except for Lenin. So Lenin was the revolutionary who was said by the communists to have actually realized Marx's message, and he established it in the world. So Srila Shukadev Goswami, he is if we say that Bhagavatam creates a transcendental revolution, then he is a transcendental revolutionary. Who has realized directly, by direct vision, the purport of Bhagavatam. And so, by his explanation of the Bhagavatam, he can, the pure devotee's explanation of Bhagavatam removes the darkness from our eyes so that we become Shastra Shakshu. We can also perceive the message of Shastra, the message of this Bhagavatam. Yesterday, in the purport, we read Srila Prabhupada's explanation that a mundane person cannot appreciate hearing the glories of the Lord. Does someone remember why? Prabhupada said, a mundane person, if he hears about the pastimes of Krishna, what does he think? He thinks it's material. Yes, that's the correct answer. You weren't even here yesterday. Yes, as Prabhupada said, he takes the pastimes of Krishna to be the same as his own activities, his own karma. So the person Bhagavatam, he dispels this ignorance. And actually he does it by his own example. Because as explained in today's verse, devotees like Srila Shukadeva Goswami, they are Hamsa, they are transcendental. They are beyond this world, and yet they come to this world just to demonstrate for the rest of us what is transcendence. We can see it directly in such a pure devotee. So, Om Agena Timirandhyasya Gyananin Gana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The Guru, the person Bhagavatam, he clears the darkness from our eyes so that we can actually understand the true meaning of personality. Because of this covering of the modes of nature, we take personality to be material. But personality is originally spiritual. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna's pure devotee, they are transcendental persons. And we, all living entities, are also transcendental persons. So, we have to push beyond the covering of the modes of nature to realize the activities of transcendence performed by Sri Krishna and his devotees. And this means the Hridaya Granti. Here's another meaning for this word Granta, near Granta. Granta also means knot, hard knot in the heart. So a transcendentalist, a pure devotee, he is near Granta because he doesn't have this hard knot, this bondage of his consciousness to the material nature. It is not there. So pushing beyond the modes of nature means to cut through this hard knot. Vidyate vidya grantis chidyante sangsaya kshiyanche chashakarmani drishta evatmanishvare. Bhagavatam says, when this knot in the heart, which binds our consciousness to activities of sense gratification, when this knot is cut, then drishtva, one will see. You see, one will see directly, not just imagine theoretically in some abstract way, but one will see directly. Drishtva evatmanishvare. One will see the true meaning of personality. One will see directly the personality of Godhead and the personality of the pure devotee. So, out of his causeless mercy, the pure devotee, he appears before us. Our vision is covered by the modes, but he comes from the other side. We're unable to push beyond the modes, but he comes from the other side. He pushes them out of the way. And he says, here I am. I have come to tell you about Krishna. This is Krishna's book, Srimad Bhagavatam. I will explain this to you. Now you just hear. And so by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained by the pure devotee, this knot in our heart is cut. Now, real hearing, there is, you see, as we were discussing yesterday, there is bona fide hearing and there is unbona fide hearing. So, as I told yesterday, the unbona fide hearing is hearing without any real appetite. There are persons who are simply interested in sense gratification, and to attain this sense gratification, they may also gather together and discuss the pastimes of Krishna. As the Sahajias do, they hold what they call Bhagavat Saptaha, 7 days class of Bhagavatam discussing Krishna's Rasa Leela. But they have no genuine appetite to appreciate Krishna's glories. Why? Because their hearts are full of the agitation of the modes of nature. They're not Atmarama. They're not spontaneously attracted to Krishna's qualities. So, bona fide hearing about Krishna is done with a genuine appetite, a genuine thirst to receive the Lord's transcendental qualities into one's own consciousness. And so that by the touch of these transcendental qualities, one will be purified, one will be enlivened to serve Krishna more and more. So in short, simple language, the bona fide appetite for hearing means an appetite for serving Krishna. So it's by this kind of hearing that the knot in the heart is cut away day by day. It actually means that we hear and then by service we put into practice what we hear. That is the cutting. Putting it in very practical terms, in the class we hear the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we go out and we preach the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam and distribute Srimad Bhagavatam to others. This is the cutting. Every time a devotee sells one of Prabhupada's books, he's cutting this hard knot, not only in his own heart, but in the heart of the person who takes the book. The knot is being severed. Every time we sell one of Prabhupada's books, we are preparing ourselves to go back home, back to Godhead. It is actually a kind of practice. Because when you consider it, I've explained to you how the realization of personality, transcendental personality, means to push through the modes of nature. So this is what one must do in order to distribute books. So here we are in this material world. We are tiny spirit soul, Jivatma, 1/10,000th the tip of a hair in size. And we are covered by the modes of nature. The covering of this of the modes of nature ultimately means the entire universe. So just think of this. Here is a spirit soul, so tiny. And he's covered up ultimately by the whole universe, which is so huge. He's inside there somewhere, struggling. Now, to get out, to go back home, back to Godhead, means he has to push through this influence of the three modes of nature, which have produced this whole universe. And when he comes out of this influence, when that knot which binds him here, which keeps him inside this universe, is cut through, and then he perceives directly transcendental personality. The Lord's devotees, their transcendental personality quality, personal qualities, all of this becomes directly visible to him. So this is an enormous challenge. But we can practice to meet this challenge by distributing Prabhupada's books. We are covered in our heart by modes of nature, and when we go out on the street, there's so many persons we are meeting. They're much more covered because they're not practicing sadhana bhakti. But when there is inspiration from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained by the pure devotee, and when the pure devotee transmits Bhagavatam to us, it comes with an order. You see, it's not just hearing for fun. It's not just going in one ear and out the other. But it's meant to create a revolution. It means you must do something. So therefore we go out to distribute the books. So as we've said, bona fide hearing engenders, it creates an appetite for devotional service. So just as one is hungry, the belly is empty, one